But none of that has actually come to what I would call economic citizenship for African Americans. So you have a community here that, by some estimate, only owns about 2% of the nation's wealth. And yet, by the time of the Civil War, African Americans as a group, in terms of enslaved people, made up more of the nation's wealth in terms of their value than every other asset combined, with the exception of the very land that they were working. So if you can understand that America's takeoff to being the wealthiest country in the world that it is today was built on the back of Black people, the back of African Americans, then you can understand not only just the moral argument for reparations, but the necessity of reparations in terms of giving back what was.
All right, well, Sandy, I'm just going to comment on that point, because that's a very important point, and I wanted to, if you allow me, put that to Madge as well. Madge, you know, the argument, of course, when it comes to the moral issue on this, makes a lot of sense, right? But when it comes down to the actual numbers and how do we work this out economically, that's when many people on the other side, as you well know, Madge, would say this is simply impractical. That's even something that, if I'm not mistaken, President Obama had said that, is it really practical to enter into this discussion of reparations when it comes to, you know, the economic values that we may be attaching to this?
Well, it's particularly difficult now with COVID and all the crises that we're facing. But we have to do something, because we know that our institutions right now of governance aren't fit for purpose for most people, particularly in America and in Britain, in terms of increasing inequalities of wealth. But the extra added layer of this long history of racial oppression and land grabs. And, you know, it's no accident that after the backlash in America, after the Civil War, you begin to get all those Confederate statues being implemented in southern cities at a very moment when they're trying to reinvent the history of the Civil War and enforce segregation in certain states. So the importance, I think, now is to think creatively.